Alright, I'm going to do a video today. This is a very common discussion that comes up whenever you are a handgun or a gun enthusiast and your friends know that that's what you're into, that's a hobby of yours, and this is, like I said, it's a very common question. I get it all the time, and I'm sure a lot of other gun owners do. And the question is, hey, I'm going out to buy my first handgun, pistol, which one should I buy? You know, there's obviously a ton out there. You know, what's the pros and cons? It's a bunch of questions. So I'm going to go over all those questions and try to help you out a little bit. This would be great for somebody, buying their first handgun, maybe bought their first one and they want to know what different kinds are out there. Or just somebody who likes to, listen to gun discussions, but I want to thank you for watching my videos and that. I've been getting a lot of views on my channel. Please subscribe. I'm doing this, just for fun and that, and it's nice to see subscribers and that. So if you're watching the videos and like them, subscribe. But I'm going to have a little bit less videos over the next couple months. I'm filling in for one of my friend's bands, so that's taking up a lot of my extra time. But I'm still going to try to squeeze in some videos there. But anyways, I got the 3 most common types of guns here, and I'm not talking manufacturers, I'm talking just types of guns. And there's 2 main characteristics of these guns, well actually 3 main characteristics that make these the most common guns. First of all, I got a 40 S&W, 9mm, and a 45 ACP. Those are by far the 3 most popular calibers in handguns today on the market as far as civilian or military and police. Secondly, I got a polymer style pistol, aluminum framed, full metal pistol, and full steel pistol. Those are the 3 most common types of material, having your steel and polymer, steel, aluminum, and then full steel. And then the third characteristic is double action only, double action, single action, and single action only. Those are by far your 3 most common actions. So now I'm going to go through these and explain the differences and the pros and cons and which one I like. I'm going to start over here with the Glock. This is a polymer gun, is what considered a polymer, and this is also considered a service pistol. Even though any one of these could be considered service pistols, when people say a service pistol, this is usually what they mean, a polymer type handgun, and they're made by everybody. Springfield makes the XD, Smith & Wesson makes the M&P, obviously Glock was, basically the people who started the polymer frames, but now everybody makes one. Even SIG has a line, H&K is another big one. I own Glock. I think as far as a service pistol, a polymer pistol goes, I think a Glock's as good as it needs to be. I'm not going to spend, $1,000 on a polymer pistol because they are what they are. They're not extremely accurate. They're not extremely nice looking or anything. Even an H&K, I'm sorry, is not an attractive gun. So I'm not going to spend $1,000 to gain a little bit of accuracy and a little better build quality just for a service gun. These are the type of guns you use for home defense or carry. And in my opinion, you don't need a $1,000 gun to do that. Glocks are $500. They're reliable. They're accurate enough. They're good enough. If you're going to spend $1,000, do yourself a favor, get a nice 1911 or high power, or a nice range gun in that. But this is, like I said, this has a polymer frame, carbon steel slide, and this is double action only. And what double action only means is basically every time you have to pull the trigger the whole ways, and that's going to pull the firing pin back also. So it makes it real easy to use as long as you have one in the barrel. Now this magazine is loaded, and a lot of people consider the gun loaded, but it's technically not loaded unless there's an actual round in the chamber. And that's how you should carry these guns. This is a house gun, so I don't have one in the chamber. I don't think you need it in a chamber for the house. Obviously, when you grab the gun, you can rack the slide right away if you need it. Just the amount of time to go get the gun it's going to take is a fraction of the amount of time it takes to rack the slide. And these have no manual safeties, and that's also a common characteristic. Is there's no manual safeties. They have automatic safeties, but there's no manual safeties. But like I said, if you're going to carry this gun, you should have one in the chamber, and you should keep it in a holster as much as you can, because that generally covers the trigger. But as for a house gun, I just keep the magazine loaded. But this gun, just because the magazine's loaded, technically isn't loaded. If I'd squeeze the trigger, it wouldn't. I mean, there's nothing there. Even if I put this in, if I squeeze the trigger, you gotta rack the slide to feed one into the chamber. But this is the most common type of gun out there. And like I said, this is a 40 S&W, which is a nice compromise between your 9 and 45, and it's relatively cheap. And like I said, every characteristic that you could take a 9 and a 45, it basically splits them in the middle, and it's becoming hugely popular. Second type of gun here I have is a full size. That's a compact. Then you have subcompact and that. But the second one I have here is a full size, and this is a 9mm. This is by far the most popular handgun round across the world. Outside the United States, this is basically about the only chambered handgun there is. But this is a double action, single action, and like I said, this has an aluminum frame and a carbon steel slide. And the nice thing about this is, if you like the feel of a full metal gun like this, this gives you the same feel, but it saves a lot of weight with the aluminum. So this is a nice in-between. If you don't want to quite go with a polymer, you want the full metal frame, but you don't want the weight. These aluminum frames, and they were first, as far as I know, they were first made by Colt, with the commander and officer size 1911s. But Sig, Beretta, there's tons of brands out there. Every brand of 1911 manufacturer almost makes an aluminum frame 1911. So there's tons of options out there, and you save a lot of weight. You're not quite down. These service polymer guns are generally around 26 to 28 ounces, depending on the size. These are generally around 32 ounces, and these go around 38 or 40 ounces. So it's right in between. And what this is a double action, single action. This is my favorite type of action. And what this does is, and this isn't loaded at all, the magazine nor the chamber. But what this does, if you have one in the chamber, once again, if you're going to carry any type of gun, you should have a bullet in the chamber, because you draw it, you want it to be able to shoot. You don't want to have to rack the slide. In the house, it doesn't matter. But double action only, what it does is, right now, if there was one in the chamber, I could pull the trigger, it would cock the hammer and fire. So it would do the entire process just by pulling the trigger, and it would be a long pull the first time. What would happen then, the hammer would stay cocked, and then a second pull would be real easy and light. So that's nice for follow-up shots, but also it allows this to be a decent range gun too, because you get that lighter power, that lighter pound trigger for the second pull on that. And the nice thing is, you can get the safety in two different types. You can get one that's just a safety, or one that's a decocker. Now I like the decocker, that's what this is, and I'll show you how that works. But the way you can carry it is safety on and hammer down, one in the chamber. Now that basically makes the trigger inoperable. So that's your safety right there. And then all you have to do is just flip that up. Now you're ready to go. Now, as I mentioned, this is the decocker. Now, you can get these double action, single action, two different types. I'm not sure if you can get the Beretta 9.2, but I know Sig and pretty sure H&K has the difference. You can either get them as a decocker or just a safety. Now, if this was a safety, I could flip this down and I could carry this cocked and locked just like this, and I'll show you how that works. And what that would do is, the hammer's back, you got single action trigger pull, which is easier to pull, and then you'd have to manually flip the safety off, and then you're ready to go. But this is a decocker, which I like. So if I put this down, it decocks the hammer. Now it's safety, one in the chamber, and I'd have to flip this up and use double action to get the first round to go off. So it's a little more confusing, but it gives you a lot more options, and I like the double action, single action the best, because I like my first pull to be double action and then the follow-ups to be single action as opposed to this. And then now the last one, this is the first true auto loader. This is 1911. I mean, there was a couple before then, but this was the first one really mass produced and used. And this is a single action only. Now, I don't really necessarily care for this type of action for carrying, but I have three 1911s. I love them on the range. But this is a full steel gun. This is heavy. I mean, it's 40 ounces. In my opinion, you can't carry this every day. There's people that do, but unless you're a police officer or somebody that's going to really use the gun for sure, I would not carry this type of gun every day. It's just way too big, way too heavy, way too uncomfortable. In the woods or something, that's fine, but as a daily carry, this would be tough. And this is single action only, so I'll demonstrate how this works. Okay, now to use this gun, the hammer has to be cocked with one in the chamber, and then how you'll carry this is cocked and locked is what they call it. And you basically got a manual safety. You also have a second manual safety here, so if you don't, somebody accidentally just bumps the trigger is not able to be pulled back if you don't have the grip safety on. But your main safety is your manual safety, your hammer's cocked, and you got single action pull here. So if you're carrying a gun, you pull it out, take the safety off, now you got single action trigger pull, and that's how that works. Now, I'm not a big fan of that. I don't like carrying guns cocked and locked. I like to have the double action pull the first time, even if without a safety like with the Glock. But I mean, this is all comes down to a lot of just preference. I mean, there's some people that like the cocked and lock, and like I said, H&K and a lot of other brands will make a polymer gun or even aluminum frame steel gun with this type of action. But my favorite by far is this, and then second this, and then third this. But this is great for the range, single action only. That's what you want for the range for sure, because of the light trigger pull. And then, like I said, these are, as far as caliber goes, 9mm in my opinion. If you're just doing self-defense against two-legged threats, I think the 9mm is the best on the market. It's cheap, easy to shoot. The bullet design has come a long way. It used to really lack in stopping power, but it's come a long way. And I really think it's, out of these three, if you're using it just for self-defense for the house and that, this is by far the one to go with. So, anyways, like I said, thanks for watching the video. And if you like the channel, subscribe. If you have any questions, let me know. Thanks again for watching, and check out my other videos.